My name is Lisa, and I'm an internal support coordinator with WEX FSM, and I wanted to welcome you all to today's session of Solution Studio. There's a survey at the end if you get a chance to complete it to let us know how we're doing and if there are any features that you would like us to add to our rotation to go over. And today's subject is user time and how to track it. So we're going to go through user permissions, events, scheduled versus actual time report, global job time clock report, job preferences for en route time, and the job P&L a little bit. We have a whole nother webinar on uh, job costing where we go over that in great detail, but I will touch on that as well today. So let's get started. So one of the things that we need to look at when you're talking about tech time is user permissions. So one of the things that we're going to look at is we're going to go to settings and we're going to go to user management and users because depending on what your job is, you may need to um, be able to do events and things on the schedule. So I wanted to show you that. So on the user permissions, you have the appointment visibility. And you also have this other one. It is being able to schedule events. And events are on the calendar that aren't actually appointments with your customers. They could be things like vacation time, um, office meetings, things like that, so that when you go back into the schedule, if this is not turned on and you hit new or click on the schedule, you're not going to see this tab that says other events. And other events are basically you just need an event name, a type. So holiday, lunch, meeting, office, sick, that type of thing. And this is important because when you're doing tech time, there's a report that will tell you all the scheduled versus actual time. And you put the date and time and the number of users in here and a description so that it will block off that time on the schedule. Okay. Now we also have another feature that is very interesting for the appointment time and tech time is, so see how my jobs for today are all lined up? They all look very, very nice and they're all in order. This job is complete since it's grayed out. So one of the things you can do is you can hover over it and see the scheduled time. Okay, up at the top, it was scheduled from 8 to 9. This one's 9 to 10. This one's 10 to 3. And it looks very nice. And then the day happens. So you have an option to see actual time. And you can see when you hover over this that the scheduled time was 8 to 9. The actual time was 8 a.m. to 8:30. So I finished early. And so that leaves this gap in time so that you can always go over here and see where he was or where the tech was and see if there's something here in the service queue that maybe you can schedule in that spot or call the customer and let them know that he's running ahead of schedule and see if they can come early. So this will allow you to book more calls during your day as long as you're paying attention to this. And it kind of flies under the radar. Most people don't know that it's there. Okay. So one of the things, we have a global time clock and we have a job time clock. And so when someone comes in, they punch a time clock and start the time clock for their day. It's just like punching a regular time clock. But when they click on en route to that appointment, it will start the job time clock. And since we have these two different time clocks in the system, if you forget to clock in to the global time clock and you clock into the job time clock, it's going to clock you in there as well. But as an office person or whoever does payroll, and if you're paying by the global time clock, you need to take a peek and make sure that everybody's clocking in correctly. And if they forgot to go ahead and reach out to them, see if there was a reason that they were running late, or if they really did clock in at 8 o'clock. Okay, so you can go to the More Applications, Time Clock, and it will pull up in this date range anybody who has logged in. And if they forget, you can do a manual entry. You can come in and you can hit edit and edit their time as well. Okay, I'm going to go back in time just a little bit. So if you see 11:59 on the global time clock, that means that the person forgot to clock out for the day. And you would need to reach out to them as soon as possible so they could remember when they left that day and adjust the time because the system automatically clocks you out at 11:59. Okay. We also can go to reporting and we have a time clock and a time clock total. Okay. So the time clock report is basically that, a list of punches for the global time clock. And once again, you're going to see those 11:59s in there, and you want to take a look at those. Okay. The time clock total report is basically gives you the total so that you don't have to total them up. So if I go back with some more punches in here, let's see, reconnect. It's going to make me go back in time because I had it open too long. It will tell me the total and add it up for you. And you can see on here, anything's 11:59, you may want to go back and update that as well. So we've got those two reports. We also have a scheduled versus actual time report. So if the techs are clocking in and out of the appointments, and that's one of the main things for this report, and it takes a couple seconds to load in here because this is a test account. And you go back in time just a little bit to get some more entries. Okay, this will give you a total. So it'll tell you by date, their total appointment time, if they have any events off, and any other events, unaccounted for time, their planned time, en route, at appointment, unaccounted for time, and a daily total. Okay, you can download this, but one of the things, some people pay techs by the job. And in our system, there's this little breakout, and you can click the breakout and take a look at each job and that clock in and job time on each job so that if you need to download this to pay them by job, you can. And I wanted to show you um, let's see, let me pull up QuickBooks. So if you go to employees and you go to enter time and use a weekly timesheet, make this a little bit bigger so that you can see it a little bit bigger. You can go in and put the customer job in here. Okay, so I had to reload this, so evidently one of my settings is not on here, but at least you can see it. So you can put the customer job, you can put what type of payroll item it is, and how much time under each of the lines here. So you could have on Friday, maybe they went to 3 jobs. And if you're doing job costing in QuickBooks and need to see that time in here, you can add those in here on that time sheet for them so that they can see it. So now in our system, when they clock in and out of the job, anything red you can click on. Okay, so this is let's see if I've got anything for a clock in date. Here's one today. Going to open this to go to that job. Okay, there's my appointment. It was scheduled from 8 to 9. My actual time was 8 to 8:30. So on the job time clock, if this is incorrect, you can click on this by just clicking on this in our system. Anything red, you can click on in the system and it does something. And you can edit the en route time. You can edit at the job time. And if they forgot to complete the job, you can come in here and change the status and complete the job. So since this job is complete and there's 30 minutes of time on it, I can go to the job profit and loss and I can see my labor cost there. So the labor cost is the number of hours times the labor cost on the user. So let me go back over and show you where to add that on the user. If you have not added it, it will show up here. And you can put the labor cost here on the user. That could be their hourly rate. You could go further down the rabbit hole and put any benefits that you give them and their per hour cost that you've calculated on what they actually cost you any vacation, sick time, so that you are capturing everything that they cost you for an hour. And then when they clock into that job, it will show here. Now that scheduled versus actual time report, breakout, and this are contingent on them clocking in and out of the jobs. If they don't clock in and out of the jobs, this is going to say idle, and there's going to be no labor cost here for you to do job costing. So, and there will not show up on that other report, the scheduled versus actual time either. So you need to make sure that if you're going to use these features, your techs are clocking in and out of those jobs. Okay. So we also have another report that is called, let me see if I can find itemized events. So remember that sick time, that vacation time. So if you want to track that as well as that scheduled versus actual time in here to see what your guys are doing, how productive their time is, you can come in here and see the event time off as well. Whoops, got the wrong one. I need itemized events. So close and yet so far away. There we go. It gives you a little bleep to it first time you log in so that you can read through it. But basically, it will go back in time, and I don't do many of these in my test account. Let's see if we've got any in here. Ooh, gotta go back a little bit further. I don't haven't done any in here at all, but it is basically the same way. You will be able to see all the event types that you have in here, and you can also download it. This type of report was done in Tableau. So the rest of our reports have a little green download button and you can download it to Excel or PDF, but Tableau is a little bit different. You choose the down arrow and you choose crosstab and then you would choose Excel to download it to that for you. So we've set up our user with a cost. We've set up their events. We set up their appointments. And so one of the things that you have the option as a user, and let me close some of these out because I usually have about 12 by the time I get done, is to go into settings, jobs, and job preferences. And this is where you can go in if you haven't been in here in a while and you've signed up with us quite a while ago. There's a lot of different things in here that you might not have known how they work when you first signed up. So use air quotations in your spare time. Go back and take a look at these things that are in the settings. And make sure that everything's set the way that you want them to be, that makes life easy for you. Choose the job type that you use most often as your default so that that way the dispatcher doesn't have to keep changing the job type every time. But you can come in here and you can see always leave the job number starting point alone because if you put it back in time, you may create duplicate job numbers and that will confuse the system and make it harder for you to do your reporting. If you do job P&L by accrual, you can change that in here. But one of the nice things in here is you have the ability to exclude travel time for your techs. So if you're doing job costing by just how long it took them to do the repair, you don't care how long it took them to get there, just how long it took them to do the repair, you could turn this on. It's kind of like a double negative. Exclude technician travel time. Yes, turn it on. Okay. If you ever get confused, there's a little I here that will let you know what it does on each of these. Okay. But there are some things that you can set in the system, like maybe you don't want on every invoice or proposal to show the line item quantity of everything. You just want it to show the total. You can turn this off in bulk so you don't have to change this every time. Unit prices as well. If you never want to offer maintenance plan savings to any customer, you can turn it off globally here as well. And if you decide to use the recurring maintenance plan auto invoicing, you would have to turn this on here for you. Okay, so you do have some options, some global settings, but the one for the tech time is exclude travel time or not. Okay, so we had a question the last time that we did this about what happens to a tech who's on an emergency call and it crosses out overnight. Um, so when the time clock, the software is a computer program. It doesn't think like humans. So sometimes things don't seem reasonable to the software. And that 11:59, if you have an on-call call that you're out at 11 o'clock and you don't finish till 2 o'clock in the morning, it's going to log you out at midnight because it sees that as the end of the calendar day. So you're going to have to log back in. So some people who do on call or do work 24/7 would have to make sure that their techs realize that at 11:59 it's going to clock them back out. They're going to have to clock back in to make sure that their time is captured. And we don't have too many people do that, but occasionally it happens. The job time clock still runs until it's completed, but the global time clock will clock them out. So their payroll will be off. So you want to make sure that they know to clock back in. And on the mobile app, there is a place for them under the more setting on the bottom to go in and see what their weekly time is before payroll time and make sure it looks right and make sure they got all their in and out time clock punches. Okay. So that is basically it for the different sections of the software. We've got the user permissions, the global time clock, the job time clock, how to do the reporting and the preferences, as well as capturing the job time for the job P&L. And then we also do that, like I mentioned again, that the job costing is a totally separate webinar. If you haven't seen it yet or haven't been able to get to it, you can come and go to search for help and go to Solution Studio and see advanced working sessions. It gives a little bit of information, but the recordings are down here. The calendar's in here and the recordings are down in here. So in profitability and growth, sales reviews, all of these will have the last time I did the recording so that you can go back and take a look at any of these that you've missed or you haven't been able to get on the schedule. Okay. Did anyone have any questions or anything that they do that's particular to their company that I might be able to help with?
I got a class all to myself, don't I?
Yes, you do.
I didn't know if I needed to hold my questions to the end or ask as
Uh-oh.
we went. So,
Well, there at one point the other lady was still here and she was still
yeah,
in. So I was like, I'm not going to say anything just yet, but I was going to tell you to unmute, but then I got in the middle of all that. So
gotcha.
what can I
No,
help you
this
with?
is great. No, this is great. Job costing is definitely where need to focus.
Hmm.
I did see a lot more settings under the features that I didn't see when we set this up.
Hmm.
So I can tell there's been a lot of new development there. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go look at one of those job costing video replays.
Hmm.
Very interested in doing that. Let me look through my notes here. Do, 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 do. I think we just have a generic cost setup per user. We have not adjusted it by tech,
Hmm.
meaning electricians versus HVAC versus installers. So
Right.
definitely get some of those settings in there.
And some people do it,
Um,
some people figure out their highest paid person and their lowest paid person and put in an
mhm,
average so that if anybody goes, they're pretty much covered. And that, but if you really want to drill down into it and say, okay, I'm
yeah,
sending my lead tech on every stinking one, and I need my guys to look, I need him to teach my guys so that they can step up as well.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, and there is crossover. If electricians aren't busy, then we might
mhm,
send them on an install job, so that would all get confused. So yeah, probably having a standard rate there will get you close enough.
mhm.
Um, and then the job PL by accrual, that's a great setting. I'm going to go check that out after this.
Yes.
And then
So one
yeah,
of
I
the
think
things
you answered.
I will tell
Go
you
ahead.
that I didn't mean
hmm
to interrupt you, but when you go to that job, are you accrual or
hmm
are you cash?
Uh, from a tax perspective, we're cash. From a planning standpoint, reporting, I do everything in accrual.
Okay.
So
So
yeah, I'd
if
want to run this in accrual.
if you want to run this in accrual, okay, so then
hmm
it is going to take credit for the sale the minute you create that invoice, whether it's
Yep,
paid or not. Okay.
perfect.
Cool. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure because a lot of people will sit there and they go, it's not showing up, it's not showing up. And the other thing is, let's go into here because I didn't talk about that on this one because it didn't,
Hmm.
it's in the other one. But since you're here, the job profit report,
Hmm.
once you choose that, it will be this will be accrual. Okay. Now it will show
Perfect.
you from the time that the invoice is created. Okay. And then the other thing, the other one is job summary by appointment because the job profit report goes by the date that the job was created. And so our system, that was when they created the software, that was the anchor that they had and that the computer developers, when they were doing that, we have to have an anchor for this job. So they choose the
Hmm.
date that it was created. And
Hmm.
that sometimes causes a problem because if you sell a maintenance plan
Hmm.
today, right, and you
Yep.
don't do the service window until next year, the
Yep.
creation date is today. So you have to
Gotcha.
widen that date range, okay, to make
Got it.
sure that
Good
you're
tip.
catching it.
Yep.
But the job summary by appointment report goes by the date that the appointment was actually done. Okay,
Got it.
so that can help you as well. And I believe on the top, this takes a little while to load because it's in Tableau and I'm on a Zoom. At the top, you can choose accrual, but I just wanted to confirm. We watch the circle go around. Yes.
And Tableau is very powerful. I wish customers could get a little bit more access to that so we could do some custom stuff in that.
Okay, have you looked at advanced reporting yet?
Yes.
Okay, have you signed up for it yet?
We looked at it when it first came out. I don't know, has there been
They've
any
had
more developments in it?
some
Okay.
things added to it, but they're
Hmm.
still adding more. So you may want to
Okay.
wait.
Yep.
I hate to, tell people not to buy our product, but you may want to wait because they're still mapping all the fields. And
Understood.
so they would come in
Perfect.
here and let me go see.
Great to know it's at least on the roadmap.
Yes, it is on the roadmap. I'm trying to think if it was this one. No, this one should be the same from that setting. There's another report, and I'm trying to figure out which one it was that was accrual. But I thought it was this one. I'm trying to think which one it would be. So we've got, is it sales? I can't remember for the top off the top of my head right now. So all of the ones that's not on here that it actually goes by that flag setting, but I believe there is one of the Tableau reports that is escaping me right at the moment that
Hmm.
you can choose accrual or at the top. So I'm trying to think which one. This is going to bother me now. It's not this one. So let's go to that one's in Tableau, I'm pretty sure. Invoice status. No, it's not there. I am going to have to look that up because I can't remember. So I'll be going through, you'll be watching me go through all the reports. But there is one and it's right up on the top left-hand side that
Okay.
says accrual. So when you're looking at the different reports, just do a quick double check on that, especially if something looks off from your other totals to make sure
Hmm.
that it's not on there. Um, is there
Go
anything
back to
else you can think
go back
of?
to that job profit report for me real quick. Sorry, I was trying to flip back between mine and yours, and it's easier
Mhm.
just to have you do it.
Total sales. Job summary by appointment should be this one. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. Probably okay. So this also pulls in product costs from your price book, right?
Yes. So if you have
Okay.
a part cost on a price book product, it will
Hmm.
bring that in here. It will also bring in, let's see if I still have the job open. Yes, I do. Okay. So if you have a product cost, these are brought in
Hmm.
by the price book.
Hmm.
This is brought in from Profit Rhino. And if you've been with us for a while and didn't have Profit Rhino before, when we first got Profit Rhino, it wouldn't bring the part cost in here because that was the industry standard cost or something that was proprietary information. They wouldn't let us have
Hmm.
it. And so now they're letting us have it. So you can see that there, and you can bring in the part cost when you add it to a job form will come in here if it's on your price book
Hmm.
product. And if you have other expenses, let's say you need a backhoe, or if you need a lift or something like that, you can put that in here and that's going to show up there on the other expenses as well. So
Okay.
on that job
And
profit report, do this one, that's where the other expenses will show up.
okay. Excuse my terminology, it's probably not right, but in the price book, you have bundles. So the
Mhm.
bundles, everything in the bundle would show up under there. Is that correct?
Everything in the bundle would show up there, and that these two items,
Hmm.
this I chose the air handler, but there is another one. If I go back down, la 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 la. Let's go back down to the invoice. I paid it, so let's open it. If I hit add item, and I think I named it 2026 so I could find it easy. There's the heat pump system. Let's put that in
Hmm.
there. Add item. So I made them serialized so they show up down here so that I can put the
Hmm.
serial number on the job. And when
Got
you
it. Okay.
did you know that when you add it that way and it's a serialized item for the bigger pieces of equipment, when you add the serial number here and this is signed and paid for, it automatically adds these items to the customer equipment tab.
Great. Awesome.
So
That's
it
a
saves
manual
that
thing
double
we used to
entry.
do. Yeah.
It
Hmm.
saves that double entry. So let me go ahead and hit save and then go back to profit and loss, show details. Ooh, probably got to refresh. Hopefully it wasn't because I closed it. It's not put, it didn't put it on there. I am on the same job, am I not? Did I not save it? It's 12,000. Let's go to, oh,
It added it to it.
yes, but I'm just, okay, let me go back and through and make another payment. Record payment. Do, 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 do. Okay, now let me refresh this and see if it will take it because it's paid now. See if it updated or if there's something wrong with something on my, stop. There we go. It's not showing on there. Why is it not updating? I might not
Okay,
have
but
a
it should
part,
show
I
the
might not have a
individuals on
part
there.
cost on them. That's why there's no
Okay.
part cost
All
on
right.
those.
Well, I understand what you're saying. That makes
So that's
sense.
not in
Okay.
my price book, evidently. So the part cost
Gotcha.
isn't on here, but you can see that the revenue went up 12,000 without the part cost. So that's I'll have to go
Right.
back and check that and update
Awesome.
that.
I'll play
Okay.
around with it. That's awesome. Good to know.
Okay. I
Well, and lastly, your Foghorn Leghorn cracked me up. I love that cartoon.
Oh, thank you. Because we have a test account that they were using for marketing, and
Hmm.
I had that test account. I had Foghorn Leghorn, I had Henny Penny, I had Henry Hawk, and I had all of those in there. And I was just like, oh, this is great. And they said, no, we're going to have to go change those names in that test account because it's just not professional. And I'm like, but it's funny. And
You
it's
gotta have
like,
fun with it.
and a lot of people don't get the Jack Dawson one either. So I figured Jack Dawson would be easier because to
I
fly
don't know Jack Dawson. What is Jack Dawson?
Titanic. It's the
Oh,
Jack
okay.
from Titanic. So it's
Gotcha. Okay.
like every time I go, Jack, Jack, it's
Jack,
like
Jack. There you go.
he's
Talking
my
about,
guy,
yeah,
right?
there you go.
But I
I was always a
appreciate
big
it.
Foghorn Leghorn fan, so I
Oh,
like
me
that.
too. Me too. Because
But
I was
but
just like,
Jack flew over my head though.
okay, yeah. Usually somewhere in there, I usually say I'm going to go to Jack Dawson. He's my guy, and some of you guys are going to get it, and some of you are not. And it would be amazed how many people pull, start pulling up and going, Jack, Jack, I'll
Jack,
never
Jack.
let go.
It's probably what generation you are too.
Yes, this is
Foghorn
true.
Leghorn was more my generation, so
Yes.
there you
Well,
go.
I'm spanning decades. That's all I can
There
say.
you go. There you go.
Well, is there anything else I can do for you today?
No, that was very helpful. I want to get in there and play around with that.
Okay,
There's
that'd be
definitely
great.
some pieces that we're not using. Um, the another question probably doesn't pertain to you, but had to do with when you were showing the uh, time card integration over to QuickBooks.
Mhm.
Um, we're not doing any kind of job costing in QuickBooks right now.
Okay.
So, and then we're not doing payroll out of QuickBooks. So I don't know if that would help us any. I'm just thinking through some things right now.
So how are you
Um,
doing payroll? Do you have
uh, pay, Paychecks.
are you manually doing them?
Yes. Well, yes. No, it's a service that we use, but
Oh, okay.
basically we just take the totals. I mean, obviously getting the time cards corrected, people forget to punch
Hmm.
out, punch in at the job. So we do a lot of manual corrections,
Hmm.
several hours of that once a week. I'd like to tighten that up. But then once we want it, we manually input all that stuff into the paychecks portal, and then it spits out, prints everything that way.
Okay. And that, like I said, if you have somebody go in there and look at those punches like the next
Hmm.
day, because if you wait a week to do payroll, and then they're
Yeah.
not going to remember where they were, and then you're having to look, okay, what time did they clock in and out of the job? Okay, I'm going to tell them that they left at 3, but then they say no, 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 I came back and I unloaded my truck and I got everything done, and I ran some filters out for somebody who wanted me to drop them off on the way home, so it really
Hmm.
was 5, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, stuff like that happens, but if you can catch it the next day, and I don't know if you guys are using this feature up in here, if you are signed up for approved for texting, this says
Hmm.
messages. If not, it says
Hmm.
chat. But you can
Hmm.
always have the office person so that the guys, you want to reduce the amount of time that people have to
Yeah.
call out and call back
Yep.
in. Okay. You can do an internal message and do reach out and say, okay, I'm going to send it to Lisa Rose, and I'm going
Hmm.
to ask her what time she clocked out yesterday, and they can respond back. And then that way they can keep working. They could just go 3 and respond back in the system.
And you're keeping it all in the system as
Hmm.
opposed to SMS and other platforms. So
Yeah.
from a source of truth record standpoint, that's good.
Hmm. And it
Okay.
also, yeah, it also is like, okay, I'm gonna when the tech has to stop working, that's lost time,
Hmm.
and when the office person has to take the call, that's lost time.
Yep.
So it's really nice and quick that you can do that when when they can get to it, they're going to see that they have a message, they can answer it, and then the office person can see the number up here when they respond back.
Awesome.
Okay.
No, I think that's good. Only other thing that piqued my interest is the separating out the en route drive time, whatever you're going to call it. I don't know
Hmm.
how we're doing that today, but that would be great to see, how much windshield time, how much money we're wasting there. So I'm going to
The
go and
other
look at that,
nice
see if I
thing
get that metrics out as well.
is this is the dashboard. So if you haven't
Hmm.
used this, this is we have it's it's showing because
Hmm.
some places are in Florida, some here. So people use this
Yeah.
as a test account. But if you came
Hmm.
up and you looked in, let's see if I can make it
Zoom in a little.
zoom in, and then I got to get to Charlotte. Okay. You can kind of see where all of your calls are.
Hmm.
So if you're using the location, the border setting that's up here, you can see and divide it up into sections, but this will tell you what your call concentration is. So let's
Hmm.
say this is your normal area that you're doing your service work and your install work in. And then you
Hmm.
have several that are way out here. You can
Hmm.
take a look at that and you can say, okay, do we really want to pull somebody out of our regular work area and send them clear out there? And if we do we want to charge a additional
Right.
like diagnostic fee or a travel fee to make up for that time? And so it helps tell you where your calls are coming from. And also if you're doing any advertising. So if
Hmm.
you're advertising up here and you've got nobody, it's not
Hmm.
working for you.
Right.
So it's
Okay.
people forget that this is in here. And if you go over different things and things don't look right, make sure to check the module description because invoice total, if it's an open draft, the system sees it as you're still working on it.
That is very helpful. I forget to click on those a lot to
Hmm.
find out because multiple definitions for the same thing,
What is
depending.
going to
So
pull, right?
it's good to know what your definition is because that's what the metrics show. So yeah,
Hmm. Okay. Anything
awesome.
else?
I think that's it. I'm gonna go play now.
Okay, go play. Well, tomorrow is open Q&A day. So if you find you have some more questions and you want to come, get signed up, and there's a place to enter a question in there so that make sure that either I'm prepared or if I don't know anything about that question, that I can have somebody on the call who is.
Awesome.
Okay,
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
you're welcome. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.